What is up, guys? We are back with a new video, and today we're gonna be looking over Karrie on how to play her. This is gonna be an in-depth guide, so I'm gonna be explaining why I build the items that I build for her and the tips and tricks that I do in game that you guys can abuse and that you guys can improve your gameplay with Karrie. So before we start, let's look over what I have for you guys, like my credentials, like I always do before any other tutorial. Mystical Glory 35 for this season so far. My highest star is 504, and she is one of my main heroes. I currently have 563 games with her, 73%, 73.5%, and that a lot of those were actually solo as well. Since you all know me, I do solo quite often. This season I've only played 39 games with her with 79.5 win rate, and again I soloed like all the way to Mythic this season, so that's actually a pretty good win rate considering that was a solo game. Let's go over her mechanics first before we do anything. Alright, so let's go over to our custom lobby and go to the practice mode. So let's go over Karrie's mechanics. Let's talk about her first skill first. So her first skill, mainly you're gonna use it for wave clear whenever minions come, and then you need to aim it, and you need to aim it where the majority of the minions will come. But I also use it most of the time to slow enemies down. Not a lot of people do it like to take advantage. Let's say someone got stunned right here, and the enemy is about to go this direction. So what I do is, since I know that they're about to go, like, I try to predict where I'm gonna put this. It's positioning your first skill is super important, because that's slow, super important when you actually hit the enemy heroes, and it gives them less chances of actually getting away. Now for the second skill, it's a dash, but if you are close to an enemy hero, it's gonna proc one basic attack into the enemy. Now, if you did not know, Karrie's main damage will be her passive. So every time you basic attack a hero or a minion 4 times, she deals true damage after that 4th basic attack. Okay? So that's why second skill is going to be your main damage. This is what you're going to max out first. So every time you basic attack and then you second skill, it counts as a basic attack. As you can see, under the minion, there's 2 flowers, or whatever you want to call that. There's 2 marks instead of just, instead of basic attacking and basic attacking, you can also do this. See, it doesn't matter as long as you keep using it. Pretty much you're gonna want to spam this over and over again. Now for the ulti, it's just a faster basic attack. Instead of putting out 1 basic attack, it's putting out 2 on your second skill. So let's try it. So if you notice, this only sends out 1 right there, 1 mark. Let's make him go back. Now if you activate your ulti and then you hit your second skill, it hits 2. So that's it's really good whenever you're trying to melt a tank. During late game, you're gonna want to use your ulti. Most of the time it has really low cooldown as well. So, and it also gives you movement speed. You can also use your ulti to run away. Don't be afraid to use it to run away, since not a lot of people a lot of people think it's just for offense. Oh, it's just for damage, but not a lot of people know you can actually go, you actually go a bit faster whenever you ulti. So you can use it to run away, and it doesn't use a lot of mana. Plus, it has really low cooldown. So it's kind of like a miniature sprint in a way. Okay, so we went over her mechanics. I went over her passive, first skill, second skill, and ulti. Now let's go over some tips and tricks. Now for the tips and tricks, let's start with going to the settings and going to controls and having hero lock mode on. Make sure you have this on. This is very important on Karrie, so have it on. And also advanced aim mode, so you can hit towers and minions if you would like. Okay, so why is that important? Why is it so important? So when you're clicking the minion button, it's only gonna hit the minion, and your passive is only gonna stack on minions instead of, whenever there's an enemy hero next to a minion, sometimes you want to focus minions only, and sometimes you want to harass heroes, so you want to focus a specific hero. There may be like more than 2 heroes in one lane, but you want to be focusing the carry. So since we can only take out Layla's here, Layla's here and Zilong. I just put 3 Laylas out. So what you can do is, press the hero lock mode, and they should be highlighted depending on who you're locking into. And then even, let's say I damage this guy. All right. And my settings, it's for my controls, it says target lowest HP first. Your second skill is most likely gonna go towards that lowest HP, which is the first Layla. Now, if even if you hero lock mode, as long as you hero lock mode a specific hero, your second skill will go to that hero, even if the one in front of you has a lower HP. Now, this is really important because sometimes you don't want to focus a tank. A tank might have a lower HP, but he's gonna be harder to kill. But it's something that you need to keep in mind. Um, I sometimes use it. It comes in handy sometimes, so keep it in mind. All right. I don't really use it a lot, but definitely important. Now for minion wave, like I said earlier, the tip was to try to put the first skill. Like let's say you're over here. Let's say I'm over here and I saw someone in this bush going into this bush, and I can, most likely I can predict that they're gonna go into this bush, correct? So once I see him go into the first bush right here, what I can predict with my first skill is put the first skill right there instead of putting it here. If you put the first skill here, it's only gonna slow them for like what 0.5 seconds. But if you put the first skill here, they're gonna have to like go towards you to dodge it, or go over the first skill and get slowed. So they can choose one or the other. So positioning your first skill is very, very important because that slow really, really helps, especially early game. Um, you're most of the time you're gonna use your first skill to wave clear. That is your main wave clear skill. Is your first skill. So every time there's a big minion wave, make sure to put your first skill right in the middle of the minion wave, not like not over it. Don't just keep pressing it. Make sure to aim it. A lot of lower ranks, they just press it. They auto aim it and just go. Make sure to aim it so it goes at the best place as possible. Okay. And now for harassing the people like the Kimmy. If you guys watch my Kimmy tutorial, there's ways of harassing enemies. It's gonna be really wrong bot. It's gonna be really hard to actually demonstrate until I get to the gameplay later. So whenever I'm trying to bully someone out of lane, what I do is I wait for the minions like I do for Kimmy, and then I hit them a couple times. Like if they're close enough right here, that's way too close. So let's say they're like right here next to the tower, right? So if they're close enough right here, they're in my range. I try to hit them like that and go sideways, depending if they're going sideways or not. I wait for my minions, right? Now, if they're really far, remove this bot like right here. What you want to do is wait for your minions. You can actually basic attack a little bit and go towards this way. This is really, really it's a gamble. So you need to know if the enemy team is gonna go towards you. This is a gamble whenever I do this. But what you can also do is you can first skill real quick and then dash right away out, because the tower is gonna hit you once you hit him, once you hit the enemy. So you dash out so it doesn't hit you, right? So and then stack up your passive. Wait for him to go like closer to you again. Make sure your passive doesn't get away, and keep poking, and then once you get that fourth passive, that's where it really hurts. And then true damage right there. See? So the most important thing is counting your passive on an enemy hero and getting that true damage proc. Okay. Now one last tip is the one that's very self-explanatory is pretty much the dashing over the wall, right? That's pretty self-explanatory. But this thing is called, it's almost like animation canceling, but not really. It's just putting more basic attack out in the same amount of time. So let's say you do 2 basic attacks. That's 2 passive procs, right? Now, if you do a basic attack, second skill, and then a basic attack again, it'll be almost around the same amount of time that you did the 2 basic attacks alone, right? So what you want to do is do a basic attack and then second skill right away, sideways, and then basic attack again. It's just a lot faster. It's like canceling your animation for basic attack. This is very useful early game, actually. This is very useful early game. So compared to just 2 basic attacks, it might not it's very minimal, but it's very, very helpful early game. See? Yeah, that's only two procs on the passive. So what you want to do, basic attack and then basic attack again. So it's just faster. And also another tip is whenever you're chasing someone, try to dash diagonally instead of just that. Well, sometimes you need to dash forward. It really depends on the situation. This is very situational. So don't be afraid to dash sideways. What I like doing is dashing sideways. Every time I don't want to be aggressive, be neutral. Dash sideways. As long as you know that you're gonna hit your second skill on the enemy hero. But make sure you're close enough. Now, if they're running away and they're really low, of course, dash forward. Don't be afraid to dash forward. But you know, it's also a gamble when you're too over aggressive and you dash forward. Then you have 3 seconds. You have it on cooldown and you can't dash back. You're gonna get caught, right? And also, don't forget, if someone's chasing you, you can actually keep using this basic attack. Keep using it. Yeah, to micro. Microing is pretty much like kiting. If you played League of Legends, the term is kiting. It's pretty much trying to stop them. Like, let's say an enemy Zilong is trying to chase me. So second skill, basic attack, second skill again, basic attack, second skill again. It's like trying to avoid as much basic attack from the enemy chasing you as much as possible. Now, if the enemy is a range hero, it'll be a lot harder to do since they have, they can actually reach you and it's easier to catch you since they can actually shoot. Like, for example, a Claude is trying to chase you. It'll be a lot harder to do because your second skill is probably not gonna hit the Claude anyways when you're trying to run away from him. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for the tips and tricks. I'm on top of my head. I'll show you more in the gameplay later to show you what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to explain on the tips and tricks. But let's go over the spells, the emblems, and the equipment. So let's go over the emblems for Karrie. For the first row, we have Bravery, physical attack plus 12. Second row, we have Swift, attack speed 5%, and for the actual talent, we have Electro Flash, which gives you movement speed every 10 seconds whenever you basic attack somebody. So that's gonna help you micro and kite somebody whenever they're chasing you, and you're gonna have a higher rate of survivability, which is really good. It also regenerates a little bit of HP equal to the 30% of hero's physical attack, which helps Karrie a lot since you have a lot of physical attack items on you. You might be asking, why not crit? Why not crit chance? Why not crit damage? So the build that I will give you in a couple of minutes actually has Golden Staff. And Golden Staff, you cannot increase your crit chance. But what it will turn into is, your crit will turn into attack speed. So building crit items is like no use, and having crit will be no use. Because you'll have other items to compensate for the build that I'll give you, okay? And maybe why not lifesteal or cooldown, since you don't want to build really cooldown on Karrie since she already has really low cooldown, so no need for more cooldown. Her second skill at max level is like 2 to 3 seconds. Her ulti is around what, 13 seconds whenever you ult it at max level late game, so no need for cooldown because you're gonna have it available to you most of the time. And for the physical lifesteal, this is really bad. Like, usually not really bad, but it could actually work as well. But the thing about this is, for emblems, you're gonna want to have advantage early game, and having as much physical attack points as possible and attack speed whenever you're getting your passive out, so more passive is coming out, right? You don't really need sustain early game since you're gonna build endless battle first, which is you'll know later. You'll know my build later, and I'll explain that. Okay, so yeah, this is why I put Bravery, Swift, and Electro Flash. You'll understand more once I give you guys the build right after. So let's go over her spells. Now for the spells, the only spells that I usually use is mostly Purify, or you can either use Sprint whenever there's like a Mincetar or something, you're trying to run away, you can't really use Flicker. I barely use Flicker now because, if, like, let's say there's a Hellcurt out there and you want to use Flicker, you're gonna be silenced anyways. So most likely, like, majority of the time, almost like 90% of the time, Purify is what I use. Now, Aegis could also work. That is also an alternative, but I'm not a big fan. Based on, like, it depends on your playstyle, really. If you're more aggressive, you're gonna want to use Purify. If you're more defensive, Aegis, so you're safer, I guess. But Purify, just since the meta right now has so much crowd control in it, Purify is just so good right now in this current meta. It also gives you a little bit of movement speed whenever you get slowed. So, and again, Sprint also works. And those are the only 4 spells that I use: Purify, Flicker, Sprint, and Aegis. But majority of the time, you're gonna want to use Purify. I'm sorry about the background noise. That's my brother in the background noise. Just ignore it. All right, let's go over the equipment. Now for Karrie's equipment, you're gonna want to get Demon Shoes for the first one. So why Demon Shoes? You're gonna get mana every time you're killing minions. You regenerate 4% of your mana whenever you're killing minions. Whenever you're wave clearing a minion wave. And since Karrie uses so much mana early game, when she spams her second skill, you're gonna want to use it all the time. Spamming first skill whenever you want to wave clear. This will really come in handy. All right. So some people build attack speed boots so her passive is more, let's say, more effective. It may be more effective when you have attack speed boots, but the bad part about that is when you don't have mana, you can't use your second skill, and your second skill is definitely a necessity when you're playing Karrie. It could help you escape, it could help you deal damage, and yeah, that's it. When you have attack speed boots, when you run out of mana, you're kind of screwed. So I don't really recommend mana. Alright, so please ignore the second row and the first row, okay? Ignore that for now, I'll explain that later, especially the last row. Ignore the last row build. Okay, now for the main core item that you want to build is Endless Battle. And this is why I told you not to build lifesteal on your emblems earlier, because Endless Battle gives you 15% lifesteal anyways, and you're gonna have a little bit of sustain early game already. It is really expensive, the item is really expensive, but it gives you additional true damage, even more true damage whenever that procs. 85% of your physical attack as true damage, like it says right there. It has a 1.5 second cooldown, so most of the time, your second skill is about what, 3 seconds? 3 seconds per cooldown. So after that, whenever you use it and then you basic attack again, you're already proccing some part of true damage into the enemy team. And that's why Karrie melts the tank so fast. And it also it increases hero movement speed, so it gives you more survivability and escape rate whenever you're faster than other heroes. Now for the second main core item is Bloodlust Axe. This is really good for Karrie's second skill, since whenever you're like I told you earlier, I showed Karrie's ulti. When you ulti and then you use your second skill, it brings out 2 second skills. It procs 2 passives, right? That actually triggers the Bloodlust Axe passive, which is the 20% spell vamp. So at late game, you have so much sustain that it's super hard to kill you. It does have cooldown reduction, but we're not really building this for cooldown reduction. We're mostly building Bloodlust Axe for sustain and physical attack. Now the next item is also very important. It stacks up with Endless Battle now, Thunderbelt. It used to be a separate proc. So what it was before was Endless Battle procs first, and then after that Thunderbelt procs. But now it procs at the same time, which is like super good and super strong. So every time you use a skill and then you basic attack a hero, it slows him down every 1.5 seconds as well. This has a cooldown of 1.5 seconds. So this is really good whenever a tank really wants to frontline. Let's say Minotaur or Kai are just playing way too aggressive, or Grok, most likely, yeah, Grok. Whenever they try to play aggressive and then you second skill and then you basic attack again, they will get slowed every time and they can't get away from you, especially when you have your ulti activated, which is actually insane. I have 20% battery, we'll ignore that. Again, we're not building this for the cooldown reduction, and it also makes you a little bit tanky, which gives you 40 physical defense and mana regen. So you get less. How do you say this? You get more mana in the late. Yeah, you don't run out of mana. Is what I'm trying to say. How did I confuse that? Now for Golden Staff, this is more of this is very situational. The alternative is actually Wind of Nature. Whenever there's a Claude. So whenever you're trying to 1v1 a Claude, you're gonna want Wind of Nature first, okay, for this Wind of Nature. So whenever Claude ultis next to you, click that Wind of Nature and he does no damage to you. So that's one alternative. Now, if the enemy team is tank heavy, you're gonna want to build Golden Staff, because this really strengthens your passive significantly. If you read his passive, if you read the Golden Staff's passive, normal basic attack add the stack of Endless Strike. After accumulating 2 stacks of Endless Strike, the effect of the next basic attack is triggered 3 times. So it's pretty much like taking advantage of the true damage that Karrie has whenever it procs, especially after that 4th basic attack. It's actually insane. Like I said earlier, you don't be building crit items because yeah, it doesn't work whenever you have golden staff on you. For the last item, immortality, it's very important. In case you die, in case they focus, if the enemy team focuses you, you have a chance to live and you have a chance to sustain since you have bloodless axe. You can also do like golden staff, and then if they're not really focusing you, only the marksman is focusing you, they're physical damage heavy, you can do this instead of immortality. Alright, so it depends, again, situational for every hero, and build accordingly to the enemy team and to your team as well. Most of the time, just to play it safe, immortality is always a good choice. So that's the only build that I have for Karrie. Yeah, those are the only alternatives that I have for her. So let's go over the gameplay. Now let's go over the gameplay. Let's see what happens here. This is a pretty long game, but this is a solo queue game. This is why I wanted this to this is why I wanted to show you guys this. Compared to my other gameplay, I've had perfect gameplays, or not perfect gameplays. I've had perfect KDA with Karrie before, but I also like showing my mistakes so you guys can learn from it as well. So this is a solo game. Whenever you want to play Karrie solo, this is most likely what you want to do. Sometimes your team doesn't want to frontline for you, and that makes you want to go really aggressive. As you can see there, I'm trying to put my first skill. I get my first skill first to make sure that the first wave of those minions get, you know, I kill them faster than the enemy team, so I could clear my jungle faster than them. By the time I clear my jungle, I should be back in lane, and I should be clearing the clearing this minion wave right here after I get this blue. But I saw them actually almost invading. I thought they were gonna invade, so I was gonna help them out. But since they retreated, I ended up going back into lane, and I couldn't do my red buff, right? So I had to go back into lane. It's going to be a 2v1 for me, Jawhead versus Angela. So what I can do right here is just wave clear. I see Lolita coming towards here, so I want her to check the bush right here. And I see them doing the crab. I'll be there to actually try and help. But they got it way too fast, so could not even contest that crab right there. Again, make sure that you're using your first skill to slow the enemy minion wave and to clear it a lot faster. Predict where the enemy is at, so make sure you aim the first skill so they can get to you less faster, slower. And right here, whenever I hit my first auto attack, that's who I usually focus. Yeah, that's who I usually focus. It's not that Angela is a support. I could also focus Angela if I wanted to. And again, I saw Jawhead playing really aggressive, and I tried to position my first skill to wherever he's gonna be if he misplaced, and he did misplay, and he ended up dying for it. So he got way too greedy, right? Now for right here, we went really aggressive for Angela because she's a support, but we see Goshen right here going for me, and I'm trying to like sidestep every single thing, and I actually sidestep his first skill, which is really good. I avoided a lot of damage from that. Right here again, just trying to wave clear the minions. Again, Jawhead is going way too aggressive, so I have free hit on him, trying to proc my true damage passive every 4 basic attack, and I did proc it. So he's already down to like what, 30% health already. I see my teammates coming in. I'm trying to bait him into this lane right here, but nice ulti from Kaja, and Goshen is gonna get caught right there. I end up getting that kill as well. So good rotation from the mid lane and the support, which is Kaja. Props to them for the whole game, for the early game at least. Late game I kind of carry. So what I want to do, since they have someone in there, usually this is what I was talking about when I'm trying to bully. If he's not gonna go aggressive, I'm just gonna hit the tower, and if he's gonna go aggressive to me, I'm just gonna hit him, right? So it's you pick one. Either hit the tower and make him go aggressive to you, and then if the enemy does go aggressive to you, hit him instead. Right here, we're trying to avoid getting we're trying to avoid them from getting the crab. Lolita actually ended up stunning the crab at like the most perfect place where the crab doesn't get resetted, so we ended up getting it anyways after that. Right here, trying to put my first kill right there, and look at this. This is what I was talking about whenever I was trying to position myself. Like you can either push right here on this side, but that really depends if there's enemies right there or your teammates are right there. But since I knew my teammates are there, I went for the dive. I see Jawhead right here, Yeah, there's no way he can get out. My passive proc. Again, my first skill, I'm trying to put it to where the enemies will be at. Pretty much trying to predict as much as possible. I get a double kill from it. It's only 4 minutes in, and then I'm 5-0. We can get this tower. Usually before I farm, I usually try to get the tower first. Whenever you're hitting the tower, make sure to click the tower lock thing, and then use your second skill to clear the minion wave. And right here, Angela was really aggressive. Well, not aggressive, but like she was out of position. So I ended up activating my ulti, and that gives out 2 basic attack procs whenever you use your second skill. So that means that your true damage will come out faster than usual. And that's how I bursted Angela. Right here, just trying to micro. Again, I told you, trying to micro whoever's trying to chase you. Nice ulti from Kaja again. He ended up getting Jawhead. Jawhead is not playing very well right now, since he thinks he can flip me because he has movement speed whenever he activates the second skill, I believe. And then actually, I KS that kill. I didn't mean to actually kill steal that. Kimmy's gonna be here to help, and I don't know why Lolita flickered over there, but we're gonna be wave clearing, and we already have the second tier tower, and it's only 5 minutes into the game. Jawhead again, and look at Jawhead trying to chase me. I can't really do anything here since he has the Angela on him, and whenever Angela ults someone, they get an increased movement speed, which is like super hard to run away against. Especially a Jawhead who also has an increased movement speed whenever he uses his first skill, I believe. His flip is second skill, and his rockets are first skill, and a movement speed first skill. I don't really play Jawhead, so I'm not sure, but I know that he can increase his movement speed by using a skill. Right here, it's gonna be Jawhead and Kimmy versus me and Kaja. Just gonna wave clear again this Karrie's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. Pretty easy to play. The most important part is probably just position yourself correctly to a point where it's hard. They're having a hard time of killing you, and you're trying to output as much damage as possible. Now for Karrie, she is not like any other marksman. Do not be afraid to focus the tank, because you can melt the tanks very fast with her true damage. Right here, Goshen. I thought Goshen was gonna go for me, but he ended up running away anyways. We're gonna try to get this turtle for free, because I know that they were retreating and Goshen already used his ulti. So try to get this. Lolita, this is really good zoning from Lolita, just staying like around this area to make sure nobody tries to steal it, right? And that is what she did. Super good job from Lolita. Just trying to make sure we can secure the turtle. Right here, just trying to wave clear into my first skill. Make sure my first skill hits. The radius of my first skill hits about like majority of the minions. So, we see Kaja right here ulting the Kimmy, and I actually went for it since I saw it on the minimap that she went for it. So I activated my ulti right away. Whenever you see someone being engaged on, make sure to activate your ulti, because that will dramatically output more damage, because your second skill takes out two passive procs instead of just one, right there. See, whenever you're trying to chase someone, always activate your second skill, because your second skill will definitely help you, like I said. And throughout this game, you never see me with mana problems. Like, I never ran out of mana, because that's because of the mana boots. Whenever you kill jungle minions and lane minions, you get some mana back. Now, you will only run out of mana whenever you're doing the turtle by yourself and you're spamming your second skill, or you're doing the lord by yourself and you're spamming your second skill and your ulti and your first skill. Kaja again having a really good set right here. He catches the Jawhead, and we get another pick right there. So we can manage to push this mid lane, since it's gonna be a 5v4. They don't have Jawhead, but since there's no minions yet, I decided to get the blue buff. Of course, it's gonna be for free. We're gonna try to get it. Angela's gonna try to steal it, but I don't think she can. And we ended up getting the stolen blue buff. So Goshen doesn't have blue buff. Kimmy doesn't have blue buff. This is a really nice block from Lolita though. That actually saved me. Yeah, Lolita was playing super well. Again, don't be afraid to focus the tank like Johnson, because look at Johnson's health and look at Jawhead's health. They just got bursted. Well, that's because I'm really fed. But even if you're not fed, you're gonna do a lot of damage even if they're a tank, since no matter how much armor they have,
you're still gonna deal the same damage throughout the game. Like, the same scale of damage throughout the game. Not the same damage throughout the game. Same scale is what I meant. Because it's true damage, it ignores the armor, right? So yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. That's why Endless Battle and Thunderbelt is so good for Karrie. I see Kimmy right here, but he's gonna be way too fast. I actually get caught, and that was really, really unexpected. I actually lagged a bit as soon as I got hit. It went up to 120, and I couldn't purify in time. But I really doubt that I would survive even if I did purify on time, since there was 3 of them. There was Johnson, Kimmy, and I think it was Angela with the slow. So it was very unlikely that I would survive that anyways. But it was a really good ulti from Johnson. You can't really read that, so it depends if your Johnson is good. Since you can't see him in the map, you don't ever know when he's coming, right? But since my score is so high, it was 10-1 and 3. I was playing super aggressive and confident, and that's a mistake as well. So you need to make sure if an enemy has a Johnson or a Kaja, make sure to play it safe, because they will focus you and they will run you over. Right here, I'm trying to just stay next to Kaja, stay behind the support and the tank. If Kaja's fronting, I'll front too. So it's like, but sometimes whenever, nice ulti from Kaja, again, he's gonna get ulted by Angela and he's gonna get bursted. Like, again, every time somebody gets engaged by Kaja, I'm gonna press my ultimate right away. Don't waste it. Yeah, press it right away to burst. Your mindset should be, if someone gets crowd controlled, ult right away. Okay, don't save it. And every time you're doing Lord, ult right away, so you can do Lord as much as as quick as possible. But I believe Kimmy steals this because Harley did not Retribution and Guinevere did not Retribution the Lord. So I mean, I don't have Retribution, I have Purify, so I can't really do anything about that. So the best thing we could do is pretty much kill the enemy team as much as possible, so they can't take advantage. They can't take advantage of the Lord when the Lord spawns for them. Kaja tried to ulti Angela, and we're gonna get that kill as well. We get the tower, so I can go aggressive on this. I put the first kill. If you notice that, I don't know if you noticed that, Goshen was right here, and I threw the first kill right here, knowing that Goshen's gonna try to run away, and he ended up being slowed right there, and I can kill him. Well, he got slowed. I can kill him with the Oh, also that's a tip I forgot to tell you guys. Your second skill has a little. Since I knew he was low, I just used my second skill to get that last hit on him. I don't have to go front. I can just dash back, because that basic attack will follow as well. So I got a triple kill right there. I dove. Very nice dive from Lolita. Lolita actually sacrificed himself for me to be able to push. So that is what a tank is all about. That is what a tank is all about. So what I'm trying to do here, again, I got hit by Johnson, and I'm trying to micro. This is the micro that I was talking about earlier, but since he flickered onto me, it's really, it was really hard to get away. And Angela actually ulted the Johnson. I almost 3v1, but Angela ended up getting me anyways. It was a nice try. I tried my best to actually survive that, but the Angela shield and the Angela slow was just way too much for me to handle. It was almost a 1v3. But that's all right. We're still ahead. My score is 17-3 and 4. We're still gonna go wait for this. Let's see here. I can skip a little bit so we can skip the death timer. Right here. What happened here is Johnson actually ulted. Like, again, don't be afraid to focus the tank, because you will trust me, with this build you will melt them. And then since you have Thunderbelt, at this time I already had a Thunderbelt since I had 19 kills. It will slow them down. Even if they try to run away, just chase them. Yeah, but don't be way too over aggressive. Just it's very situational. That depends on your gameplay. Make sure you pay attention to the map and make sure you can take the enemy. Right here, I was sure that I could take Angela and Goshen. If Goshen tries to burst me, I have look at the slow. Look at the slow that I'm dealing to the enemy team Goshen. But they're way too fast. I actually did not know. I played that really bad because I did not know who to focus. Your passive actually gets resetted whenever you're trying to hit other heroes. So right here, I try to get a kill on Kimmy before I die. I knew I was gonna die. That was really hard to get away from because they know I'm super fed. They're trying to focus me. Jawhead is always going for me. Goshen is going for me, and Kimmy's going for me. and my teammates were going in one by one. So I told them to just chill, group up, and we can win the game. Um, yeah. So positioning wise, I can't really do much right there since I was alone. But I did. I should have played more defensive since my teammates were dead anyways. Yeah, I did tell my teammates that they're in my ass. They know. All I need to do is all my teammate needs to do is pretty much protect me. Kaja needs to protect me, and we should be good to go. As long as they protect me, I'm killing everybody in here. I will melt them, every single one of them. And he did say to just stay next to him in Tagalog. Dikit sa akin means just stay next to me. Um, right here, I knew that Goshen was doing the red buff, and you might be asking why. It's not map hacks. Whenever you're looking at the minimap, you see this purple circle. When that purple circle is still there, and you're near the spawn of that buff, that means that they're in the bush and they're doing it in the bush. That's why I put a first kill there right away. It is really really aggressive, but I knew Kaja was behind me and I had Purify, so I went for the face check anyways. And right now I got Immortality, so I'll even be more safer even if they focus me. So right here, they're just gonna, I'm trying to stay in the middle of the pack just to be, my back line is safe, my front line is safe, because I will be the carry of the team. I am the main damage of the team. I want to stay in the middle of the pack, as you can see. That's positioning. And right here, we see Goshan gonna get caught out right here, but he's gonna use Winter Truncheon, but he's not gonna. Look at the burst that I just deal. Johnson might be in front of me, but look at how much burst I'm doing, how much damage I'm doing, even though I'm focusing him. He will actually die already in like a couple of seconds. I get a triple kill. This should have been a Savage, but should have been a Maniac for sure. Again, I'm trying to put my first kill to where Angela was going to come. And Kimmy was way too fast because she had Sprint. So I couldn't get the Maniac that I should have gotten. Someone else got the kill right here on Angela. That should have been a Savage, to be honest. But I couldn't slow the Kimmy on time. She had Sprint, but that's alright. Here, I see that Kimmy's actually checking on the Lord, and I took advantage of that. And look at the Thunderbelt just going to work. She was not able to run away from that whatsoever. So my tip to you is whenever you're doing Lord, make sure that every single area is clear first before doing it. Because again, I don't want Kimmy stealing the Lord from the team again. So make sure to kill the enemy team first before doing the Lord. A lot of like low ranks have that big mistake. Actually, my team makes that mistake sometimes. Like they keep focusing the Lord. Why not kill the enemy team first? Because we will lose the team fight if you focus the Lord and they end up going like damaging you while you're doing the Lord. So kill the enemy team first before finishing the Lord. So to avoid them from stealing it and to avoid losing the team fight. Because there's no point of getting the Lord if your whole team is gonna die. So might as well go for the team fight, right? First before getting the Lord. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully I explained that correctly. Right here, I'm super confident since I have Immortality. Very nice kick. Oh, very nice kick. Very nice knockup from Guinevere. Sorry, nice, not kick. And right, we won. It's already a 4v3. Angela's dead. Johnson's dead. They don't have a front line. Joehead is not gonna do anything to me. Goshan needs to burst me to be able to win, but I have Immortality, so even if he bursts me, I'm still alive. Kaja gets an ult right there, and Goshan is gonna do Winter Truncheon, but it's not gonna be enough. He's gonna get bursted again by me, and the Lord's gonna finish the game. So before we end the gameplay section, let's look at my items and my score and my stats before we do it. So I was only Legend for it this time. I was solo queuing, like I said, I solo queued all the way to Mythic this season. I don't know why my team had such trouble of winning, because I had 25 kills, 14,000 gold, and this is the build I gave you earlier. Like I said, same order, Demon Shoes, Endless Battle, Thunderbelt. This is a switch, by the way. This is a switch. The scoreboard is messed up. It doesn't show chronologically what you buy. So Endless Battle, and then Bloodless Axe, Thunderbelt, and then Golden Staff, and then Immortality. Okay, so let's look at the stats. Let's see what we have here. I usually check my stats after the game. There it is. So I did 38% damage on heroes and 65% damage on towers. Let's compare it to their Kimmy. Kimmy actually did a decent amount of damage as well to heroes, but they were actually focusing me, so it was even harder for me. Kaja was actually ulting Goshan a lot of times instead of him, so that's why he was able to output a lot of damage to us. Jawhead played really bad on their team, and Johnson was just getting melted by me. That's why he died 9 times. And Kaja did really good, and everybody, actually, my whole team did pretty good, but I don't know why we struggled. I think it's because of the Lord steal, and that's why we struggled, the rest of the game. But other than that, that was a good game. Make sure, guys, if you guys learned something, if you guys have any other builds or recommended builds or suggestions, questions, comment those below. Make sure to subscribe, like to this video, and share it as well if you want, your friends to learn about this. All right, guys, thank you. That is all for today. Peace.